tasked with assembling an elite team to travel through time. All your worlds are about to change.
Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome back to another Legends of Tomorrow episode review. My thoughts on tonight's episode of Legends of Tomorrow titled Night of the Hawks. And you know what? I just want to start out by saying this show is not what I was expecting it to be at all. When this show was announced, I thought it was gonna be, you know, like this group of supporting superheroes and villains and stuff from Flash and Arrow going out and like traveling through time and like doing superhero stuff. They're going through time. There are aspects of that, but you know what? This show is as action packed. It isn't as very like completely. Sorry, I just like knocked over my camera. And it's not as story driven as I thought it was going to be. And it's just, I don't know. It's when in general when you have expectations for something and they don't meet those expectations, you can be kind of disappointed. And Legend of Tomorrow is one of those instances where it's like, my expectations were way different than what the show actually is, and tonight's episode was kind of like, I don't know. I like this episode, but this show is just, I kind of want more from a DC show with a bunch of superheroes. I mean, you got Hawkgirl, you got Adam, you had White Canary, you got all this stuff going on. I mean, granted, like not every episode needs to be action packed, but just like after like the first couple of episodes, especially after that first like the pilot part 1 and pilot part 2. Like, I thought, like, that's what this sort of thing we were expecting, you know, like, them traveling through time, kicking ass, like, and it doesn't really feel like that, and, like, and this show is a shorter season than the other DC shows, so I thought with that short span, it's like, okay, they can, like, get to the point, but yet these last few weeks, they've had kind of some more filler episodes. Granted, I mean, they're not going to stop Vandal Savage by, like, episode 5 or 6, or whatever episode we're on. It's just, I don't know, like, this show just, again, is not what I was expecting it to be. And it's just, it's one of those slow burn kind of shows. It's just like, it has the grand plans, but it's just like going at a really slow pace. And there are times it's just watching the episode, it's just, again, it's not a bad show. It's just, it's not as interesting as I would want it to be. So like, there are times in the episode where I just kind of tune out. It's just like, because there's not enough interesting things really going on. It's just like, oh, it's just a cool episode, I guess. Like, not much else to it. Because I feel like with Flash, there's a lot more I can talk about that. Even with Arrow, sometimes, even though Arrow was a bit stepped down for a couple seasons ago, like there's still a lot to talk about those shows. It's just, but now it's just, I don't know. Legend of Tomorrow is different from those shows, so it's not as captivating as I would want it to be. So to actually go into the episode itself, one of the things I like about this show is their ability to to travel through time and have episodes feature like different periods of time and have different settings. Like in this episode, it was like 1950s Oregon, and of course the 1950s, like back when America was still racist as shit. We see that, and they don't sugarcoat it. Like America was racist, and that's one of the things I like about this show. They deal with racism. They deal with sexuality. And that's one thing I like about these shows, like, it's like sometimes like these shows like avoid like gayness and race issues and that kind of stuff. And this show, I mean, like, it wasn't like at the forefront of the episode, but seeing Sarah, who's like a bisexual character, and she's more romantically attracted to women compared to men. She's really only been with Oliver Queen, but seeing her in this episode, like, it was nice kind of having someone for Sarah, even though it was like only for a little bit. Because I feel like Sarah just like she's gotten like screwed over so many times throughout these shows as a whole, because she had a thing with Oliver, and then the whole island thing happened, and then she ended up in the league with Nyssa, and then she came back to Star City, had another thing with Oliver that lasted a bit, when they went back with Nyssa, then she was killed, and then the whole Nyssa thing ended, I guess, and now she's here in the 1950s, hitting on some nurse, I don't know. But I did like, like she was developing her relationship with that nurse, and having that nurse be able to explore her like her needs and her desires in the 1950s, and I like that aspect of it. And I did like, again, like I said earlier, I liked how this show didn't sugarcoat the racism that was going on at that time in history. Especially with that cop, when the cop confronted Jackson, like, even at that dinner party when that lady would like thought Kendra was a waitress just because she was black, At least I'm assuming she's black. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want me to sound racist or anything. It's just like that's what that white lady was trying. That's what she thought. Anyways, so that aspect of the episode I enjoyed because they stuck to history. They explore a little bit of what was going on at that time, and I like seeing that setting. You know, some of the stuff I liked were some cool Easter eggs in there. The whole thing with Vandal Savage being at that point in history, his name being Curtis Knox. For those of you guys who don't know or maybe didn't watch Smallville, in Smallville there was a very similar character to Vandal Savage whose name was Curtis Knox. He wasn't Vandal Savage, but that was just his name. He was an immortal. He had been through history. He was basically the Vandal Savage of Smallville, but he was only in one episode, and he was played by Dean Cain, who was in Lois and Clark and the Adventures of Superman, who played Superman, and now he has a recurring role in that Supergirl show. And in Smallville, he played Curtis Knox. And I like that cool little tie-in to Smallville, because Smallville kind of established that Curtis Knox character. I like that. And the whole Hall H thing, it's not a comic reference, but it's it's references to Hall H and Comic-Con in San Diego, which is actually where I'm from. I'm actually from San Diego, so I noticed that like right away. And I've been to Comic-Con for like the last like 6 years. So of course, like I was able to catch that. Some of the stuff I like about this episode, towards the end, I'm so happy that they're finally letting Kendra be a badass again, because I feel like they've really sidelined her the last like 5 episodes, and all they've done is like, especially last episode, all they did was make her a stupid freaking love interest for Ray, and that made me so mad. And seeing her in this episode, yes, they have the whole love interest thing going on right now that I really don't care for. But seeing Kendra step up and try to solve things on her own without having to rely on Ray. I mean, Ray eventually showed up and saved her. Shocker. But, I like how they finally were able to do that. Because Hawkgirl is one of the biggest badass female characters, one of the biggest badasses in the DC universe. And the fact that this show isn't utilizing that aspect of the character and just sidelining her for who? Like, Heatwave? Like, I don't know. But I like seeing having Kendra more at the forefront of this episode, especially dealing with the tension between her and Vandal Savage and all that stuff going on. And the hawk creatures in this episode that Vandal Savage was trying to create and exploit. I thought that was a weird device to use in this episode to kind of bring the team in to like see what's going on. Because it is called Night of the Hawks, and I understand like it's the meteorite that like gave Kendra and everyone their powers or whatever. But I don't know, it was just something that, like, I wasn't necessarily impressed by it, because I feel like I've seen it before. Well, because, again, I've seen, like, I watched 10 seasons of Smallville. I've seen all these shows, so, like, that kind of stuff didn't really impress me. I mean, it was an interesting concept, but the execution is just kind of, like, eh. And there are some, the only real negatives I have with this episode, other than, like, it being just kind of, like an eh kind of episode, first of all, Jax was knocked out way too easily by that racist cop. That made me so mad. It's just like, dude, like, you're Firestorm and you get knocked, and this is the cop. He's like, and then it's like, dude, you got like full 2 seconds to stop. Like, what? That just I don't know. That made no sense. And again, like I said earlier, I don't like the Ray and Kendra relationship at all. I hate these romances in these shows because they make it so stupid and so cliche. And so lovey-dovey, like, you guys are on a mission, you guys don't need to be, like, hooking up and stuff. It's just, I don't need any of that. But other than that, you know what, it was a decent episode, not the best, it was really another filler. And now this show, like Arrow and Flash, is going to be on a few-week break, comes back, actually, after Flash and Arrow come back, which is kind of weird. So it comes back in 3 weeks from today. So, with that being said, that's going to be it for me. So if you guys like what you see here, go ahead and hit subscribe below. I just uploaded a couple of videos on my channels today. I reviewed and reacted to the brand new Captain America Civil War trailer that just came out today. I had my unboxing for the new DC Legion of Collectors box, which features the armored Batman pop that I have back there. You guys can even see it. And the Batman and Superman Dorbs that I have like right there. But yeah, if you guys like anything else on my channel, go and give it a watch. Give this video a thumbs up. What do you guys think of the episode? Let me know in the comment section below. So yeah, that's going to be it for me. So until next time, guys, have a good one.